Hello, this is module number 22. This is on magnets. Kind of related to static electricity. You still have the charges. You have the South Pole, the North Pole, and so very similar. Before I get into that though, I've got to tell you a funny story about static electricity. Back in my youth, I was playing rock music in a rock band, and actually this particular band played all kinds of music, and our band was playing in a golf country club in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and it was really cold. It was like in the upper 20s. It was below freezing. Static electricity, dry cold air, static electricity everywhere. I mean, every time you touch something you'd pop, you know. So what we did, set up on the stage, we were playing music, and there were balloons decorating. You know, they had the room decorated with balloons. And I grabbed one of the balloons. They were helium balloons. I grabbed one of the balloons, rubbed it in my hair, and it stuck to my head. Tried to get away because it was helium, so it floated away, but it stuck to a couple strands of my hair, so it looked like I had a balloon floating on top of my head. So I was playing, playing along like that. And the rest of the band, who were not science people, by the way, they did the same thing. So here we had this band, I think we were playing a ZZ Top song, and we had balloons floating over our heads. I guess what I want to say about that is that whenever there's a chance for me to do science, I'm going to do science, no matter where I am. So anyway, so that's a funny little story, a true story. So here we go. Magnets. This is a good magnet. This is a horseshoe magnet. It's rather old. Usually when you have a magnet, it comes with a little flat bar that you put on top, and it's called a magnet keeper. It keeps the charge going. Magnets get weaker if you just let them lay around like this for a while. So here's our magnet. We have a North Pole, a South Pole. They've done a lot of research. They still don't quite understand magnets. But you got the electrons going in different directions, and that's where they come with the North Pole and the South Pole. Here's just a lid. I can feel, you get really close, you can feel that tug. Yeah, it's like a force field. It's like a force field. That's called the magnetic lines of force. There's the magnetic lines of force that are going this way, and there's a little activity you can do to show that. What I have here, we have our magnet. I have a paper plate, and I have little iron filings, little slithers of iron. So let's see if I can do this. I'm going to try to balance the plate on the magnet. Then I'm going to sprinkle the iron filings on the plate. Let's see what happens. I got to do it like pepper or salt. I'm going to dump too much on there. So see the pattern forming? That should be enough. See, these iron filings are going in this direction or heading towards this pole, and then they start in the middle, they kind of line up in the middle, then they start to curve towards the other pole. Isn't that cool? So you can actually see the magnetic lines of force. Now once you show students this, you can have them move the magnet around. What's the game? the game, the Magnadoodle game or whatever, the little toy. Be careful though. You don't want the magnet to go on top, because if the iron filings stick to the magnet, then they're really hard to get off. What I like to do and what I'd suggest, you can buy Petri dishes. That's what they use in microbiology to plate bacteria in. You can buy these huge Petri dishes, and you can take a piece of white paper, cut it to fit. You can use double-sided tape to tape underneath and tape that white paper on top, in the bottom of a Petri dish. Then you could put a little bit of iron filings in it, not a lot, kind of about like this amount, maybe a little more. And you could do that. Then you could put the top of the Petri dish and tape it on there so it doesn't leak. Iron filings won't spill out. And then you could take a magnet and stick underneath the Petri dish. And you're going to have to move the iron filings around to get them evenly spread out, and hopefully they'll line up on the magnetic lines of force. You can go and buy something from these educational supply houses. You can buy something that costs, I don't know how much it costs, but you don't need to spend all that money. You can make your own. So that's kind of cool. Be careful with magnets though. Back when TVs were made out of what they're called cathode ray tubes, the big picture tubes, if you touch the magnet to an old-fashioned color TV, it makes a little purple blob. I did that to our TV at home. When I would blow a guitar speaker, when my guitar speaker and my guitar amp, I'd blow a speaker or something. Guitar speakers or stereo speakers have really nice magnets in them. So I would take the magnet out of the speaker, and I was playing with it one day, and I stuck it to our TV, and it messed up our TV. We had to call the repairman to come, and all he did was take another magnet and put it on top and plugged it in. It was like an electromagnet, and it cleaned up the mess. When I came to UCF, maybe I shouldn't be recording this. When I came to UCF, we had old cathode ray TVs in the classroom that I was teaching in, and I touched the magnet to that TV, and it made a big purple blob. But newer TVs were able to correct themselves over a few weeks, so that went away without calling a repair person. Flat screen TVs, computer screens, no problem. We have advanced to the point where magnets will not hurt the new equipment. Remember floppy disk? 5 1/4, 3 1/2 floppy disk. Students would come to my class. They would keep their papers from all of their classes on a floppy disk. When I was here, it was 3 1/2 inch disk. Now we have thumb drives, right? Floppy disks are magnetic. There's a little magnetic little disc in there made out of like magnetic tape. I had one student that would put her 3 1/2 inch floppy disk on the refrigerator with a refrigerator magnet. It wiped out all of her assignments. It contaminated, it just corrupted the disk. So again, thumb drives, I've never tried it with a thumb drive. I think we're safe though. I think that's not an issue anymore. Definitely CDR, stuff like that, no problem. Magnetic tape, yes. So be careful with magnets. That's why children love magnets. I guarantee if you go buy some cheap magnets somewhere and give them to the children, they'll play with them forever. Got to keep track of them though, because you want to make sure you collect them at the end of the class period. But magnet, 2 different poles, again, like charges do what? Repel, unlike charges attract. You could take 2 magnets, take the north pole of one end, South pole at the other end, and move one closer, and it will push it because they're repelling. Wait a minute, I think I said that wrong. If you have a north and north, if you have two like poles and move it this way, if you have a north pole and a south pole facing each other, they'll attract, right? They have trains, the magnetic trains. That's how they work. I think Japan, that's what they have. They go really fast, and I think we need to invest in public transportation, and that would be perfect. Using the magnetic, I forget what they call it, but it's a magnetic principle for the trains to work. Okay.